I remembered the day when a policeman came to my house to inform me that my father had passed away in hospital. It was a devastating experience. The next day, I suddenly realized that the family has no means of income because he's the sole breadwinner. So when I went back to Raffles, I told my class, my school teacher, that I have to leave Raffles because I got to find a job. But then I also was told by friends, my father's friends, that my father is entitled to a benevolent fund as he was a member of the Singapore Harbour Board Union. Now, there is this fund that my father has been contributing over the years, and it amounted to $28,000. That would be sufficient for the family to carry on. There were altogether 6 of us, plus my mother would be 7, and that gave us some hope. So I went to the Singapore Harbour Board Union and told them that my father passed away and that accordingly he's entitled to a benevolent fund. But they said, no, your father was in arrears. He didn't pay his subscription. And then they told me that he's not entitled to any sum. So I went back to my school, and when you're only 16 years old, you're quite green, you're not very sure. But I'm quite a determined character. So I decided I said I'll leave school and then maybe help out in the financial situation in the family. But when I wanted to leave school, leave RI, my classmate Rajendran told his father about my difficulty in financing my school fees. And he spoke to his father, who happened to be the principal of RI. And he said that, and he said, yes, he would try and help me out by getting me a bursary. And he did it for me. So I was able to have some means of, to continue my schooling in Raffles. But I was also disturbed by the fact that we have lost out this big sum of money, which would have definitely helped the family to get by. So I went back to ask friends living in my area. I used to live in this housing, in this Harbour Board quarters in Breeze Road. I went around and asked my father's friends, and they said that the benevolent fund, there was some constitutional change, and that the fund has been reduced to 14,000, and that is the amount that I can ever hope to get. But since my father has been in arrears, it's unlikely that I will be able to get that sum of money. But I know my father is quite a methodical person, so I asked my mother to show me all the things that my father has kept aside. And I found this drawer, and I went through all what was in that drawer, and I found a receipt, and that receipt is a payment to the Singapore Harbour Board Union just 1 month before he passed away. So I thought this was good evidence. I went to my uncle and showed him that, look, I've got this receipt, how can my father be in arrears? And he agreed with me. He said, yeah, that's correct. You can go back to the union and see whether they'll pay you. But when I went there, again they turned me away. They said, no, that is, you just wait, we'll call you when we check, and if we check that your father has not been in arrears, we'll pay you. But I waited and I waited and waited, there was no reply. So I was quite desperate. Every time I go there, they tell me, young man, go back to school. Your father was in arrears, and therefore he cannot be given that sort of money. Even when I showed them that piece of receipt, he said, no, he was in arrears. There was just a last piece of receipt given to him. Then I said, I felt really lost. I went back to my father's friends, and they all warned me, said, no, you must not fight, because you're fighting against very, very strong people, people who are very politically connected, and that you have no hope of getting that sum of money. So I went back, when I was in school, it so happened one of my classmates, Mr. Peter Chua. Now Peter Chua, he's the son of Justice Chua. And I said, can I see your father? He said, yes, he'll arrange. So he arranged with me to go to his house and meet his father. Now, it's the first time in my life I entered such a big house. It's a big, really big house, and I was really awed by the physical building, which is really huge. And I remember at the tea, we had this round table, and we were seated around this table. And I was a little bit, I just could not handle myself because I don't know what to do. I've never sat in a round table with all the nice, beautiful arrangements. But Justice Chua was very kind. He asked me, and he made me quite comfortable. And I told him my story, and straight away he said, yes, I've got a case. But I said, I got no money, I can't see a lawyer. He said, then you must go to the Legal Aid Bureau. So I went to the Legal Aid Bureau, and I waited outside the door for quite some time to see the legal aid officer. I think there was, I remember, I'm not sure, but I think it's Tan Bock. But so I wrote everything and I showed it to him, and he also said, yes, you have a case here. And he will then help me to see whether I can get this money or not. But for so long it dragged on, And in the meantime, my studies suffered. The money that was given to me for my bursary, as a bursary for my study, has got to help out in the family expenses. And I was really desperate. I started to give tuition. I went round many homes to make that little money to pay off the family's daily needs, to help out in the family daily needs, as well as my tuition fees. And I suffered. Luckily, I didn't fail my exam, but I know I never did very well. And this went on for some time. Every time I go to the Legal Aid Bureau, they say they have waiting. I have to wait. Then I go back to the unions. I used to just stand by the door. You're only a 16-year-old boy, and they are all huge. The people there, all the unionists were really big people. It's quite scary, to see them. And I remember one person, he's a bearded person. And later I found out he was Mr. Jamit Singh. And Mr. Jamit Singh is a very strong political figure then, strong unionist, closely tied with the PAP. And so I went back to my father's friends, and they also told me, you do not know what you are in for, young man, he said. They are very, very strong, and it's very unlikely you are going to get your money. But I said, that's my dad's money. I'm not asking for anything more. But it seems like all hope was gone because the legal aid just somehow or other couldn't get this matter through to the unions. So I almost gave up. Then one fine day, I saw in the newspaper that the PAP has split into the Barisan Socialists and the PAP. I sensed that my money is coming. So I went back to the Legal Aid Bureau and told them, I think I should be able to get my money now. And after a short wait, I really got my money back. And I went home, told my mother. My mother has been always pestering me, why so long, because she's being uneducated. She don't really quite understand, And the trauma they had to go through, running from school, go back to the union, go home. My mother sometimes, I don't blame her. She said, we don't have enough money to pay this and pay that. But that day when the Barisan Socialists and the PAP became two separate groups. I was so confident I would get my money, and true enough, I got back my $14,000, and that was then we used that money to buy our first family fridge. It was something which I thought my determination to right a wrong, because I believe I was wrong and I must right that wrong. And I was quite happy when I finally succeeded in getting my first family fridge.